Welcome to another Goody Reader review video. This is Michael,
This is Peter.
and today we're going to give you a hands-on of the new Kyobo Mirasol e-reader. This is the first e-reader in the world running the Mirasol e-paper. Let's give you some specs on this before we give you the full hands-on treatment. It's running Android 2.3. The display is capacitive touchscreen and it's 5.7 inches. The resolution is fairly solid at 1024 by 768. The CPU for a tablet is actually not too bad. It's a 1 gigahertz Qualcomm Snapdragon S2. So if you consider the Kyobo Vox is only 800 megahertz, this is fairly responsive at 1 gigahertz. Storage capacity, you have internal flash of 1 gig, although you can upgrade it via the micro SD card. You have 512 MB of RAM. You also have a fair number of features on here, and I'll let Peter give you the 360 and tell you all about it.
Alright, so looking at the front, you will notice that compared to a lot of tablets these days, Kyobo Vox, Barnes & Noble, Nook Color, Nook Tablet, Kindle Fire, the screen is a little bit smaller. It's actually even smaller than most 6-inch e-readers, being 5.7, so there won't be as much screen as you'd like with a tablet, but so far the design is not too bad. You have the Android-style frame buttons here, so there's a home button, menu button, or right click, or depending on how you want to look at it, back button, and search. On the side, you have your volume up and volume down. Nothing on the rest of the side. Other side's clean. Top, you have your power button and your hard reset. These are just designed, so they're not speakers on the top or anything. Then you look at the bottom, and once again, two design pieces: 3.5mm headphone jack, SD card slot, micro USB, and a microphone. Moving over to the back, you have a portrait design with all your information here, as well as stereo speakers, but then you have a landscape logo, so it's kind of nice no matter which way you hold it. I am a fan of the speakers, and they're on the back, but they're on the curved thumbnail parts, so the sound won't completely get muffled out when you put it down, which is actually something we at Goody Reader like, because we've seen a lot of devices where speakers right here flush on the back and there's no stereo, whereas this one does have full stereo speakers, so your sound quality is going to be really good on this.
First of all, from a hardware point of view, I don't think it looks too bad. This border here, it kind of adds a little bit of its distinctiveness. If you look at, say, this here, it's sort of all black. And this, I think, stands out a little bit more on a design level. So, overall, I kind of like the way that it looks, but looks aren't everything. Let's dive into the system here and show you what this is all about. This is your main home screen. This is obviously a Korean version, so most things are in Korean, but we have loaded English firmware on here, and this allows us to do a lot of things. For one, we can sideload our own applications in, and this is really what we've done to get the most out of it. So you can see we have an English dictionary, Facebook, Twitter, music gallery, but we also have a number of other apps here. You can see here that we have our official Goody Reader application for Android, which is launching soon. We also have Barnes & Noble Nook, Amazon Kindle, Kobo, as well as the Amazon App Store and Moon Reader. So we definitely have enough e-reading apps on here that we can kind of tap into all of our books on our various ecosystems. Let's show you what some of the quality looks like. First of all, I'm going to show you the web internet experience, because this is something that most people are going to do in their day-to-day. First of all, let's point out the colors. You would say, if you look at this in comparison to other e-readers, the colors look a little bit muted. The reading experience and the internet experience are pretty well synonymous. You're not going to get millions of colors, but you are going to be able to read this outdoors in the sun and reduce the glare. You can think of Mirasol color e-paper very much akin to Pixel Qi technology. There's a lot of similarities in terms of the colors being a little bit muted, but that's because it's designed to be able to read in a lot of different environmental circumstances. So let's visit a perennial favorite of ours, You can see the keyboard is fairly responsive. And of course, being Android, if you're not a fan of the default keyboard, you can install your own. So let's just see how fast standard web page loads.
Wow, that was actually one of the quicker ones we've seen here. We've always been on the same Wi-Fi connection at Goody Reader here, and I must say that was for a graphic-heavy page like the page we have here. That was very quick. It loaded up pretty much everything.
And this is our first time visiting this web page. If we click on a video, it doesn't play videos embedded in a web page, but it does load them up on YouTube, so we can see how this works. So, this is our first time loading this up, and it seems to have some problems with YouTube.
Doesn't look like it's going to be loading that. Let's go back. So it didn't stall. It just doesn't seem like it's going to load that.
Right. So I'm sure if we downloaded a dedicated YouTube app from the market, it would work well, but pinching and zooming, fairly responsive. There's no clipping or stuttering. If we scroll up the page,
the inertia is a little bit squiffy there, but it's not too bad.
All right, so there's the internet experience. Let's check out what is on our SD card, and this will give us a sense on the content side of things.
All right, so let's just start with some of our things that we loaded in here. Let's start with the book. We have an EPUB book, Night Road by Christian Hanna. See, it starts off with a table of contents here, and I guess it doesn't really matter where we go, so we'll just go to chapter 6. So you see here, this is how a standard book without any changes to the user preferences would look like. See that you might have, you get a little bit of animation there. Doesn't look like it's a controlled animation. You can't seem to peek, but if you complete the swipe, it does turn. So that's kind of just the default animation it has. It doesn't seem to let you peek, much like an iPad or various other e-reading applications.
Incidentally, if you're not a fan of the animations, all e-reading applications have the ability to turn them on or off, so it's not too big of a deal. You can see page turns are fairly quick, and I think this is thanks to the RAM and the 1 gigahertz processor. So you saw a little bit of loading, but I would say side by side with an e-ink reader, which is going to be coming in an upcoming video, text is reading pretty fluid. And of course, it depends what type of e-reading app that you have, but you can change the size of the font. We just switched to nighttime reading there, so it's a little bit easier on the eyes as you're reading in bed. We are using what app are we using? Just so the viewers out there know what we're doing.
Seem to just open up whatever default app that is associated with the file extension of the file. So we opened up an EPUB file, so it's using an appropriate e-reading application. It didn't really specify when we opened it.
Okay, so if you want to have other apps on here, like you saw, we have Barnes & Noble, Kobo, Amazon. You can get all these apps from our new Goody Reader app store. So you can visit it at goodyreader.com/apps, and all you do is just click on the apps and download them right to your device. But we probably recommend, just because we had a lot of problems with this device, our computer wouldn't recognize them, that you need actually proprietary Qualcomm USB drivers, and we're running Windows 764 like most other users that have high spec machines. And for about an hour we tried downloading drivers from the internet. Nothing would really work. So I recommend, if you're side loading content onto your Mirasol Kyobo e-reader, that you put it on the micro SD. But the Kyobo has problems reading directory structures, so we encourage you to put everything on the root of your device. So that'll save yourselves a lot of headaches and a lot of complications like we experienced here. So let's show maybe the viewers how video and audio look.
And what Michael was saying here, that you see there are a lot of directories, but we had a lot of problems putting things in directories that would just come up blank. So we put everything in the root, which is why you see everything in an organized list like this. But anyways, moving forward, we're going to click on our our usual go-to video, our public domain footage of the Yosemite Mountain. and you will see that it doesn't seem to be formatted very well, and the menu key doesn't really bring up any formatting options. Neither does a press or a long press, so you will have to match the file that you're putting on here with the 1024 by 768 resolution before you put it on here with an editing program.
Or you might want to just download a third-party multimedia plugin. We're a big fan of Meridian, which is good for both video and audio, but I'm sure if you're an Android user, you may have your favorite. So not too bad.
Sound quality's all right.
Speaking of sound quality, let's try maybe a little song.
We can start a song here. Unfortunately, we don't have a music player that has a lot of options, so it'll really just open this bar here, which is fine. I mean, you still get the full music experience, but unless you want it to open with a music player, you would have to download one onto the device and then choose that as your opening go-to application.
And really, that's the beauty of the Android experience, that it's quite versatile to download. If you're a fan of playlists, party type apps, you can do it. So far, what do you think of the audio quality? I mean, it's sometimes kind of hard to get this coming across on video just because of our setup and everything, but what do you think?
Audio quality is really good, actually, and if I compare it here with a Nook Color really quickly, you will notice that the speaker setup is actually a little bit more ideal than the Nook Color would be, seeing that the Nook Color has a single speaker on the back on the flat portion, whereas the Kyobo has stereo speakers on the curved thumbnail portion. So in essence, you are getting a little bit of a better audio quality out of the Kyobo than you are the Nook tablet. And comparing that to the Amazon Kindle Fire, it's a little bit different because the Amazon Kindle Fire has fully exposed stereo speakers at the top of the device, so you're really getting a better multimedia experience with the Kindle Fire. But we're talking about the Kyobo here, and on its own, it is actually, with both video, web browsing noises, and just no matter what you do with the audio on this device so far, it has been a little bit above some of the other tablets we've seen.
I totally concur. I think that the audio experience is fairly good. I mean, the default audio player and video player obviously are hurting, but if you install third-party ones, you shouldn't have any problem. But the essence of it is the hardware sound. The speakers play it well. If you plug in any type of good headphones, whether you're using high-quality, Beats by Dr. Dre, or just your standard set, you should be able to get high audio quality both on your video and your music files. The ebook experience looked pretty solid. A lot of people ask us, well, how does highlights, changing text, making annotations and everything like that, it's really dependent on what type of e-reader app you're using. If you're using the Kindle app, of course, you can make all those changes and save it to the Kindle Cloud and so on. So you're not just locked into one app for everything, but of course, like I said, Android gives you a tremendous amount of flexibility. Now that we've looked at music, video, ebooks, what about PDFs and everything? How do those look?
Let's start off with DC Marvel Comics. We have a Batman and Spider-Man. We downloaded for free, and it is a PDF version of a comic. You'll notice that compared to a lot of other tablets and devices, that the colors are a little bit less vibrant than you would like, only because this is using a different type of screen than most LCD backlit screens would use. Nevertheless, it is still very clear, still very easy to read, and it's very quick for the most part when you scan around a comic. So it's not going to lag so much that it's going to take you out of the comic experience. It's more of just this little bit of waving you get on the screen. And it's only, once again, it's because of the different type of screen that this device is using. But it's very good quality nevertheless.
And don't forget, we are looking at a PDF file, which is obviously conformed a little bit different than a dedicated comic format such as a CBR, CBZ, or CBZ, and we don't have a dedicated comic book app installed on here like Droid Comic Viewer or anything like that, but this is just what a PDF looks like straight up on your device. So it doesn't look too bad. I mean, a lot of people, when they heard of the Mirasol Color e-paper or the technology, they were wondering what it's all about. And so I think we've pretty well done a good job showcasing all the different capabilities of it on the device.
Exactly. Pretty much everything we've shown so far, the book, the music, the audio, everything's coming up just in its default state, which is actually a good thing because this is displaying everything we throw at it so well. But you can refine your viewing experience a little bit better, like Michael said, with more dedicated applications, Kindle Reader app, choosing to open your videos with a more dedicated video application rather than the default. And especially with this is the newspaper PDF we have on here. Once again, very easy to navigate, very easy to read, very easy to pinch and zoom. But once again, this is a default opening. This is the default app that it opens with, and if you want to refine this a little bit more, like turning reflow on, changing it to 3 columns or a grid, you would have to choose a different application to open this with.
Right, so this is just your standard experience. You saw with the comic book, it was clipping a little bit because, of course, it was graphic heavy, whereas a standard newspaper, very text heavy, so pinching and zooming went relatively quickly, turning pages went very quickly. So if you were to load your own newspapers on, this is the experience overall. No matter what program you use, you're pretty well going to get the same kind of page turn, the same type of fluidness or lack thereof with it. So newspapers, comics, ebooks, multimedia, this is pretty well the Kyobo e-reader, and this is what it does. So if you were to this is new technology, and this is something a lot different than what we've seen before. And incidentally, if you want to see this go head to head with e-ink and tablets such as the Kindle Fire Nook tablet, stay tuned to our other videos where we're going to battle this head to head so you could really see side by side how this screen stacks up against the other leading devices on the market. As far as everything that we've seen today, Peter, what do you think?
I think the audio is great. I think the layout is great. I would have liked to see just a slightly bigger screen, but that's not really an issue. This thing is just taking everything we throw at it and just performing so well. You can see we have studio lighting here. We're blasting our lights at the screen, and there really isn't a problem reading past our lights. And these are studio lights. Looking at it with your eyes would blind you, but as you can see, the screen technology poses almost no threat to it. It's pretty much very readable in any sort of lighting. Battery life is pretty good on it. It being a tablet, speaker setup's nice. The design is nice. I would just be repeating myself all day because I like it so much. It's a very good device.
Speaking of battery life, roughly about like 10 hours or so. If you're just reading with Wi-Fi off and not really doing anything internet intensive, you should maybe get about like between 1 and 2 weeks out of it, so they say. But I noticed from just doing loading apps, doing these videos and things like that, it was roughly about 10 hours or so. You can power it via a charging adapter that actually comes with it that plugs into USB, so it's like a portable wall charger. But really what we did is just plugged it into our laptop and it charged everything there. My opinion, I like it. I mean, this is designed not only to read inside but to read outdoors as well, and I think that visual wise, I think that this does a better job than Pixel Chi screens. And so I think that Pixel Chi on a Notion Ink Atom, very a lackluster experience. I really think that this Mirasol e-reader is a big step in the right direction, and I really recommend this, although it's only available in South Korea, so it's very hard to get your hands on. Although it may make its way to North America sooner rather than later. We'll keep you updated on our blog about any developments like that. So this is the Kyobo Mirasol e-reader, and you've just watched an exclusive GoodEreader.com review. For GoodEreader.com, my name is Michael.
This is Peter.
And everybody take care.